James Gunn almost took Superman into horrifying territory with a disturbing deleted scene featuring Lex Luthor's twisted power play and violence. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Turns out, James Gunn's Superman wasn't always as hopeful and bright as the final cut suggests. According to the director's interview on the Happy Sad Confused podcast, the crowd-pleasing superhero flick almost went to some very dark places. It nearly involved a graphic execution and a twisted power move by Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. Lex shooting Malik in the head was always done in this extreme wide, so it's not too graphic. The guy fell on the ground and blood is pouring out onto the platform, and Lex looks down and he sees that the blood is about to get on his shoes and he's like, "Oh my God, my shoes!" There's a really dark thing in there. There was a really dark thing. Once I saw the movie, I'm like, this is too dark. While the DC supervillain trapping people in weird glass cubes in his pocket dimension, killing Malik Ali, and kidnapping Crypto were already dark enough for the new Superman movie, James Gunn almost pushed things a little too far with this deleted scene. Thankfully, he knew when to pull back on his wild imagination. James Gunn almost took Superman into horrifying territory with a disturbing deleted scene featuring Lex Luthor's twisted power play and violence. Now, while Lex killing Dinesh Tyagarajan's Malik Ali already seemed jarring, James Gunn recently revealed during the podcast that he almost included a much darker scene in the aftermath of that execution. According to Gunn, after Lex shot Malik, he originally forced Boravian President Vasil Gurkos to soak up the blood. The delivery is great because Lex just looks at Gurkos straight and he's like, "No." And then Gurkos just sheepishly, sadly trudges forward and lays down on his back, and he's so funny. He lays down on his back and then just starts. Gunn moves his torso left and right, and soaking up the blood, and then Nick looks over at Superman and says, "I'll see you tomorrow." And then they drive away. Thankfully, after watching the scene, James Gunn realized that it was too dark for the hopeful theme that he had chosen for his iteration. Therefore, in the final version of the film, we only see Lex pulling the trigger on Malik and the gun shooting out a bullet. Turns out the OG scene was so terrifying that Gunn even refused to show Malik dropping dead. James Gunn's Superman is mostly a fun and heartwarming movie. It brings back the joy of classic superhero stories, with a dash of silliness and charm. But hidden behind all the smiles and heroics, there are a few very dark moments. One of such darkest scenes involves the execution of Malik Ali, the falafel vendor in Metropolis, by Lex Luthor. Now, this revelation makes us wonder, had this scene actually been in the film, how different would James Gunn's Superman have felt? Would it still be the hopeful, funny, and charming movie we all loved? Or would that one deeply disturbing moment have changed everything? It's a tough call. The horrifying version of the scene, with blood spilling out and Lex Luthor forcing the president to clean up the blood with his cloth, never made it into the film. Gunn realized it would be too much for audiences. So, the director pulled back just in time, and we're glad he did. Therefore, had James Gunn left the grotesque and humiliating scene in the film, it could have shifted the film's tone completely. Not to mention his attempt to push the edge would have delivered an intense version of the supervillain, something out of a horror movie. And that would have transformed Lex from being a comic-accurate villain to a scary psychopath. So in the end, cutting that moment might have been the smartest move. We still got a terrifying version of Lex Luthor, one who left us nervous every time he walked into a scene. But we didn't lose the lightness and fun that made this Superman feel special. Gunn balanced hopeful Superman with a terrifying villain. And honestly, that balance made both characters stand out even more. Because while Lex Luthor is supposed to be scary, there's a big difference between evil genius and pure nightmare fuel. In the final version, Nicholas Holt's Lex already appears to be cold and calculating. He doesn't yell or throw fits. Instead, he uses his power to humiliate and destroy people in the quietest, creepiest ways. The idea of trapping people in tiny glass cubes, just because they annoyed him, already shows how far Lex will go for revenge. That includes heroes like Metamorpho and even innocent kids. So when we saw him kill Malik, it added a new layer of evil to his character. Lex wasn't just a mastermind, he was cold-blooded. All the sleepless nights and anxiety James Gunn felt while recasting this character in Peacemaker was worth it as we got the best version. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Actor Chris Conrad was originally cast as Adrian Chase in the Peacemaker series. However, after 5.5 episodes, James Gunn and Conrad reportedly decided to split due to creative differences. Gunn mentioned that they were on different pages about how to go about the character and that Conrad did not want to stick with Vigilante in the long run, via Screen Rant. John Cena may have been born to play Peacemaker in the DCU, but actor Freddie Storma's last-minute inclusion as Vigilante was a masterstroke by James Gunn. Adrian Chase, aka Vigilante, is a self-proclaimed sidekick of Peacemaker and joins him for Project Butterfly unofficially. Storma's performance was incredible, and he is easily the best character in the show. James Gunn, in the podcast promoting Peacemaker Season 2, revealed that Storma was a last-minute replacement of the original actor, with whom they had already filmed 5 episodes. Jennifer Holland revealed that many of the scenes where Vigilante is in a suit were actually performed by the other actor, via HBO Max. We had shot all of episodes 1 through 5, and we had also shot part of 8. And then we were like, for various reasons, we needed to recast the actor. I was having anxiety at night because I was like, I love this show more than anything I've ever done before, and one particular part of it wasn't working as well as it could. And it happened to be everybody's favorite character in the script. And so we went out, and we had to find a vigilante. While fans have loved John Cena's performance as Peacemaker in the show, which will soon get its 2nd season, Freddie Storma's Vigilante was a welcome surprise. Enter Freddie Storma, who nailed the character of Vigilante in the series. It is one of the best recasting decisions ever. However, the actor knew that he was entering a set where the actors had already built rapport with each other and the previous actor. So, admittedly, he was a bit nervous, via Gizmodo. It was a little scary at first because, everyone's been shooting for a few months together and everything's underway. But as soon as I got there, John Cena was just so friendly and nice and good. He's very good at improv, and James Gunn is great, and it felt like a really easy fit from the first scene. From then on, any nerves just kind of melted away. Storma owned the character from his introduction at the diner in the Season 1 premiere and became an indispensable part of Project Butterfly, even when John Cena's Peacemaker got cold feet. However, Gunn had to then quickly find a replacement who would not only reshoot all of the sequences from 5 episodes, but also have a physique that would fit into the suit they had already made for the original actor. Gunn mentioned that he had to find an actor who would be of the same height as they did not have time to make a new suit. There are quite a few similarities in the characterizations of the Justice Gang and the 11th Street Kids. Mr. Terrific can be a counterpart to Myrn, Guy Gardner to Peacemaker himself, and Hawkgirl to Amelia Harcourt. However, the movie definitely lacked a vigilante-esque oddball, who is a wild card and cannot be trusted to make the next move. What do you think about Vigilante? Was Freddie Storma's casting a great decision by James Gunn? Write down in the comments. James